This video is aimed at people who are doing mechatronics with me, and I'm going to cover the build of the linear regulator PCB. There's nothing different to assembling this PCB than a linear regulator on strip board. You have the same components: your input buffering capacitor, your isolating capacitor, your linear regulator, your light emitting diode and resistor, and a power diode. Let's have a look at what we've got on the board here. Here we've got the space for our linear regulator, and you can see the little square at the back here. This is going to show you how the linear regulator sits inside. The back tab matches that back square of the linear regulator. Here is where our input power goes. I've made these two solder pads here nice and big, so that way you can decide if you want to use a through-hole wire, or maybe you just want to solder the wire across the pad. It's up to you. This is where our input buffering capacitor goes, and somewhere between a 100 microfarad and 300 microfarad capacitor is about the size that you want in here. Here is our isolation capacitor. You need a 0.1 microfarad capacitor to go in there. Here is where the output power goes. You can see here I've labeled a positive and a negative, and on our input power we've got positive and negative. Here is where our diode and resistor goes. Our diode goes here. The square pad here for our light emitting diode is ground. Here we've got space for our power diode. The little bar here at the bottom of the picture of our diode represents the direction that ground must face for our diode. The purpose of that power diode is just to protect your circuit, just in case you accidentally hook up negative to positive on your input. If you don't want to use that diode protection, then you can just bridge it with a wire. So the first thing here is to put in the linear regulator. Select the appropriate size linear regulator. So maybe you want a 5 volt linear regulator, so choose an LM7805. If you need a different voltage, choose the appropriate size linear regulator. So just with the linear regulator and the power diode bridged, that'll work. Kinda, sorta, maybe. To make it more stable, you need to put in your capacitors. And then we'll put in our LED indicator. And remember that this is just for us humans to see if this is powered on or not. Right, so that's it built. So to test it, I'm just going to put 9 volts on the input, and I'll test to see if we've got 5 volts on the output. Now go build your own.